Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Infertility and Me. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Miss Nelly, and she's a fellow podcaster like myself. We connected on Instagram, and today's episode, she's going to be telling us about her journey through stillbirth. And Nelly is from Harlem, New York. She is a mental health advocate. She will also be launching her podcast, How Do I Explain This Shit to My Mom? Next month and later in January, specifically around the 23rd of January. So you guys can check her out next month. And let's see, we're going to go right into it, Nelly. Just, I guess, start from the beginning. So how did your journey begin to conceiving?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be a part of your project. I really thankful for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Well, with me, it started like right before I turned 30. I was actually 29 years old when I got the big news. My boyfriend and I, we were together for almost 5 years. And towards the end of our relationship is when we realized that I was pregnant.
Okay.
At the time, it was very difficult because he wasn't working. I was the only one actually providing. I was working my ass off, and it was crazy. At the time, we felt that it wasn't really the right time to do it, and we made it all the way to the abortion clinic. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Wow.
We made it there. When I got there, I was really nervous. He was with me. The reason why I didn't do it was because, unfortunately, the nurse at the time, and fortunately at the same time, she wasn't supposed to tell me that I was having twins. And she's like doing the sonogram, and she's like, oh wow, you're my first twin today. And I was like, what? And I just froze. I was like, what were you saying? She's like, I'm so sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that. Oh, my mom. And I was like, oh, no, I'm out of here. So I open the door. I go to the hallway, and I see him there waiting for me. And I said, we're out of here. And I'm super excited. And he's like, what happened? He's like, did we win something? Like, why are you so happy? And I was like, we're having twins. And he was like, no. I'm like, yes, we are. Really? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, let's get out of here. And we just ran out of there. But before all that happened, I called my mother. And I was in the bathroom. I was like, hey, can I use the bathroom real quick? And she's like, well, we're about to get started. I was like, I know. But I really have to use the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom. I sneak my phone in. I call my mom because I didn't even tell her that I was pregnant.
Okay.
I called my mom, and I was like, Ma, listen, I got something to tell you. And I was stuttering, sweating, whatever you can.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to throw up.
Oh my gosh.
He was like, just spill it. Just tell me what it is. And I was like, Ma, I'm pregnant. And she starts being so excited. She's like, oh my God, so happy. And I'm like, you're happy? She's like, yeah. I'm like, Ma, I thought you weren't going to be happy. He's like, why not? He's like, oh, because, Omar doesn't work. And I'm not, like, we're not where we're supposed to be right now. Like, I still have so many plans for myself. And she's like, well, rice and beans will never go missing in the house, so you don't have to worry about that. And I was like, okay, Ma, but okay. And then I was just like, she's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm in the abortion clinic. And she's like, get the fuck out of there. And I was like seriously, so right away, she's like, get out of there. And I was like, I don't know. And I was like, I'll call you back, and I'll let you know what I did. And then that's when they told me that I had twins. And then I called her back. I was like, Ma, will there be enough rice and beans for another baby? And she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm having twins. And she started crying on the phone. Oh my God, we're having twins. And I was like so excited about it. My family was excited about it. Everybody was excited about it. I was scared shitless though.
Yeah.
I was like, what? At the time, I lived in Harlem, New York. We were living in the projects. I was in a 4-story walk up. I was like, every nightmare that I had every single day was that I dropped the baby down the stairs. It was like a nightmare every single day. I was like, how am I going to use the stroller in the train station? How am I going to get on the bus? Like, this is the kind of shit that I was thinking about, not even like being a mom to 2 babies. It was just like, oh my God, how am I going to get around in the city? That's what I thought about.
Yeah. And that's real though. That's real. That's real because, it was a surprise. So you're thinking about everything that could possibly go wrong at the time, concerning the babies after they were going to be born and stuff like that. So yeah, I get it. I definitely get it. So like, what was going? So what transpired afterwards? Tell me a little bit about the pregnancy itself. Did you have like any complications or anything like that?
So I used to work in a retail environment at the time, so I was standing up all day. And
Okay.
when I reached to 4.5 months, my
Mm-hmm.
doctor was like, "Hey, your babies are a little bigger than we anticipated, and they're putting heavy weight on you." So he suggested bed rest, and I was
Mm.
like, "Wow, I wasn't thinking about going to bed rest so early." So at 4.5 months, he sent me to bed.
Mm-hmm.
When I made it home and I was in bed rest, I changed my whole diet. It's like something came over me, like
Mm-hmm.
right away, like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a mom, and I prepared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Started reading books, started eating better, and at 4.5 months, I remember going to the doctor and just to do like a regular checkup, and the doctor was like, hey, we found some sort of infection, and it's your. She said it was opening. She's like, your uterus is opening or something like that. She told me. I don't know the terminology too much,
Okay.
and I was just like, what? What are you saying? And she's like, yeah, we found a little bit of an infection. It's nothing, no big deal. What we're gonna do is we're gonna keep an eye on it. So we're gonna see you every week instead of
Mm-hmm.
every month or something like that. And I was like, okay. She sent me home, and when I arrived home the next day, I started getting fevers.
Mm.
And and I know that whenever you have a fever, that means that there is an infection,
Yeah.
and it's spreading.
Mm-hmm.
So it just so happened this next day, and this is in February in New York City. So you already know it's freaking cold.
Freezing.
There was
Yes.
there was a freaking blizzard,
Oh my goodness.
and it was crazy. And I'm not gonna tell you that I believe in ghosts, but I do believe in spirits.
Yeah.
And my grandmother at the time, she was a very strong person in my life that I admire, I love. And for some reason, I was laying in bed, and the first thing in the morning was like maybe like 8 o'clock in the morning. I
Mm-hmm.
picture my grandmother at the door, and
Mm.
this piece of this peace came over me, and at the same time I was scared shitless. I was like,
Yeah.
yo, what is happening? And I started getting fevers, and it was stronger, and it was like I believe I was up to like 102 or
Wow.
103 fever. And let me tell you what happened. I called the nurse and I said, hey, I got a fever. She's like, did you get your flu shot? I was like, what does that have to do with anything? She's
Right.
like,
Right.
yeah, what does that have to do with anything? And she's like, well, it's probably just a minor cold. And I'm mimicking her voice because it annoyed me at the time. And and I'm like, okay, what should I do? She's like, take some baby Tylenol
Mm-hmm.
and call me back in 2 hours.
Okay.
I took the baby Tylenol. My fever went up to 103. From 102 went
Wow.
to like 103. So I said, hey, I'm calling you back. My fever went back up. I don't know what to do. She's like, come to the hospital.
Yeah.
It was a blizzard at the time in New York City. This is 2013, and we couldn't like catch a cab. We couldn't get around. All the train stations, the bus, everything was shut down. We were not
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
far from the hospital, but we were not close either. And my mom freaking out. She went outside trying to hail anybody that has a car and was passing by to see if they can spare and give us a ride. And I'm there pregnant, waiting on the side of a car. It's snowing, it's blizzard. And my mom is like, please, please, my daughter's pregnant. Can and then somebody actually stopped. That person's like, take my cab. Go, go.
Wow. Angels in disguise. That's what I like to call them.
I believe it. I get to the hospital and I'm still chilling, like, okay, this is nothing. This is a little fever, nothing crazy. Because I felt fine. I just had a fever.
Yeah. That's that's
I
that's
felt,
that's wonderful. Because if you had to like passed out or something like that, oh my God, your boyfriend at the time would have like had a fit. He wouldn't have known what to do.
he was far away from me at the time, so it was
Was
just
he?
my
Okay.
mom and I.
Okay.
And
Okay.
he was trying to get to me too because of the blizzard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just my mom and I. My brothers and sisters were far away too. Nobody was around. Just my mom and I.
Wow.
When I get there, the nurse is like, okay, honey, how you feeling? I'm like, I'm good. Like, I'm chilling. Like, I'm reading a magazine. I'm chilling. My mom is
Mm.
like freaking out. I'm like, Ma, we're gonna be fine. Like, sit down.
Yeah, yeah.
And we get there, and they start like, examining me and everything. And then next, from one doctor, there was two doctors. From two doctors, there was like three doctors, and nobody was telling me anything. And next, there was like five doctors, and there was like nurses everywhere. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I demand
Hmm.
somebody tell me what's going on. And somebody just grabbed me and said, hey, honey, this is what's happening. Your infection is spreading. We have to take the babies out now and save your life.
Wow.
Just like that. Just
Wow.
like that.
Did they do an emergency C-section on you?
Ma'am, I wish they did, Monique. I gave birth.
Did you?
I did. I gave birth at midnight, and it was twin girls. I gave birth to Zoe at midnight, 12:03 a.m.,
Oh my
and I
gosh.
gave birth to Penelope at 3:30 in the morning.
Oh my goodness. And you said you were 4 months
Um,
at the time?
I just turned 5 months.
Okay.
The night before, it was the next day was going to be my fifth month,
Yeah, so you were,
and
wow. Wow.
and I had a huge belly. Like, you would have thought I was 9 months already.
But that's so common with twin pregnancies. And then you don't, from your Instagram pages, you don't appear to be like super tall, so
No, no,
I
not
can
at all.
imagine.
I'm
Yeah.
5'3.5".
Right. So you're right around my height. I'm 5'4". So yeah, yeah, yeah.
You and I
Wow.
can't play basketball together though.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah, and it was so crazy because they were like, yeah, we're gonna have to remove your baby, and I was like, whoa, 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 no, that's not gonna happen. Save my babies, and don't worry about me. My
mm,
family
mm,
was,
mm, mm.
my family eventually got there, and they were all like, no, we gotta save you, and I was like, nope. And that was the first time in my life that I can honestly tell you that I had not 1 ounce of selfishness in my life. Like, I was completely selfless.
Yeah.
I said to my, I was like, don't worry about me. Take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if
Mm-hmm.
I die, that's God's wish. Like, I believe in a higher power. And
Yeah,
I was just like,
absolutely.
don't worry about it. And they were like, and then the doctor kind of almost smacked me around and was like, listen, let me tell you something. And kept it all the way real with me.
Yeah.
And it was like, let me tell you what's going to happen. She's from New York, and the doctor was like somebody that grew up in my neighborhood. So she had a little swag to her. She's like, let
Yeah.
me tell you what's
Yeah.
going to happen, girl.
I can only
Like, I'm
imagine.
going to, like, she kept it real. And with her, I listened.
Yeah.
Everybody else was all Caucasians. They were all white and Jewish. And she was the only one that was like Dominican, just like me.
So
And
you
she was
felt
like, let me tell you
comfortable. Yeah.
I
Okay.
felt comfortable with her. And she said, let me tell you what's going to happen. Right now, your cervix has an infection, and the infection is spreading, and that's why your fever, it keeps going up. What's going to
Mm-mm-mm.
happen is, if we don't take these babies out right now, you're going to die with them.
Oh
And
no.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I got it. And I was just like, and then I like maybe 30 minutes later, I was like, but you know, miracles happen. Miracles happen. They're like, no, honey, this is not. They're gonna,
Mm-mm.
if you give birth to them and we try to save them, they're gonna have a lot of complications, and you don't want to do that to them. They're gonna be blind. They probably have, they're gonna be with Down syndrome. They're gonna have a problem. You sure you want to bring them into the life? I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
because in your mind you already had love for them. You know what I mean? Your unconditional
I
love as a mother was already there, had been there. Yeah,
I
I get
adored
it.
them. I adored them.
Yeah.
And then when they gave me the epidural, they were like, "Hey, what's gonna happen is it's too late for us to do like a C-section or give you a pill or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that." So they were like, "You're gonna have to give birth naturally."
Goodness gracious.
And I begged them, like, "Please don't make me do this. Let me not have this experience. Please don't put this in my head. Like, please don't do this to me." And they're like, "Honey, we have no choice. This is the only way."
Wow.
And they gave me an epidural, and unfortunately, because of the infection that I had, the
Mm-hmm.
epidural didn't work. I didn't feel it.
Mm.
It didn't work. It numbed probably my toes, and like I felt it a little bit on my thighs,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but everything else I felt. Everything. I
Wow.
felt everything. And they were like, well, unfortunately, you're not taking the epidural. We cannot give you one more. We can't do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, my whole entire family was in the delivery room with me because we were at Presbyterian Hospital in New York. Shout out to them. They were awesome. And we had a big suite. So my cousins were there. My
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
friends were there. My mom, my uncle, my aunt, everybody was there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I gave birth tiny
Mm.
to at midnight. And then we waited and I pushed and pushed and pushed. And then Penelope came at 3:30 in the morning.
Wow. Wow. She came quite a bit after her sister.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goodness
And
gracious.
and one was bigger than the other, and I
Yeah.
was able to see them. I was able to hold them.
Mm.
I kid you not, I saw my grandmother again, and I was just like,
Mm. Mm.
why is my grandmother here? And I really do feel like she's my guardian angel. I really genuinely do feel that.
Absolutely. Because you had seen her earlier in the morning or afternoon
Mm-hmm.
time, and she came to bring you peace, and she came to bring you strength. Because Lord, who knows how you would have reacted without that first experience before anything even transpired, with your fever and everything. Because when you saw her earlier in the morning, did you have your fever then? Did you know you had a fever then?
I didn't know until
Exactly.
my mom was like, oh, you want some breakfast? And I was like, Ma, I don't really feel well. And that's
Okay.
when she was like, let me check you real quick. And then that's when we found out I had a fever.
Wow. Wow.
And after that, it just was crazy to me. I was
Yeah.
angry. I was sad. I was miserable. At one point, I felt very cheated out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All I remember after that was just really like a lot of lights because they put me in this like surgery room. I
Yeah.
was in intensive care for about a day and a half because they needed to make sure that I had no more of that infection in my body.
Right.
So I was in evaluation there, and I stayed there for about 6 days.
That's good though, because if you had had any tissue left from the uterus, you would have had to have a DNC, and you would have been hemorrhaging. So that, yeah, they were on it then. That's wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, but the only thing that I didn't appreciate was like, hey, the day before, I just came from a doctor's appointment. How
Right.
come this happens the day after? And how come you sent me home? Why didn't you just kept me in the hospital and to make sure that I was fine? And then after 24 hours, send me home. But that didn't happen. So I was
Yeah.
very angry. I
Yeah.
was very, very angry.
Yeah. Because you feel like it
And
could have been prevented. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
feel that way.
Yeah.
And when I asked her, I was like, "Am I able to have kids again?" And I was very petrified to even ask the question because I didn't want to know. I was like, "Oh my
Yep.
God, I don't
Yep.
want to know.
I get it. Yep.
I don't want to know." And she was like, "Yeah, but unfortunately, she was like, you have a 70% chance of having twins again." And I was like so happy. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And then she popped the bubble again, and she said, "Unfortunately, because we realized that your body can't take twins again because this happened once, it's gonna happen again." I was like, "You don't know that. You don't know that." She's like, "No, I do know that." And she's like, "So you're gonna have to, if I do become pregnant again,
Mm-hmm.
if it is twins, I will have to abort one of them." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to pray that if you ever happen to get pregnant with twins again, that both of them will survive, and you will survive, and your whole
Thank
family
you.
will survive. You know what I mean?
Thank
Because
you.
that life is all about hope. And if because I'd imagine you were in depression and had postpartum depression afterwards, didn't you? After losing the babies and
It
everything
was
for a while.
it was so weird. It was like at first I didn't feel anything. I didn't understand. I was just like, "Oh, I'm okay." And then like 2 days later, I was crying miserably because I had milk and I had to pump
Yeah.
and I had to do everything that a new mother had to experience
Mm,
without the baby.
mm, 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 mm,
And it was probably the most saddest time of my life. And
mm,
I
mm,
was just
mm.
like, "Oh my goodness, like this shit is crazy. Like what the fuck? Like why am I going through this shit?"
Yeah.
And I was angry as well because the way that my family took it was
Mm,
like nothing happened. Like they were afraid to talk about it. And I was just like, "Yo, we're not gonna pretend like this didn't happen. Like let's talk about it. I already painted the room. I already have all these clothes. I already like what are we gonna do with this?" And they were like, "Everything's gonna be fine." And they were returning things. And I took 6 months off work and I was like, "Listen, because I always been the life of the party. I
mm-hmm.
always been a fun girl. I always been, this my personality was everything and I wasn't myself anymore." So I was like, I can't lose myself. So I put myself in therapy.
Awesome.
I was highly recommended. I went to therapy, and then I started doing yoga. I started biking. I started
Mm-hmm.
running. And my friends were amazing. They were so supportive. They would come with me riding bikes. Next thing you know, it was like two of us. Then it was four. Then it was six. Then it was like
Yeah.
12. We were like a gang in New York. Seriously.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they were just there just for support, just to be there with me.
That's amazing.
And I appreciate that with everything in me. So happy. And here's the crazy part. After this happened, and 6 months later, kind of recuperated. I was feeling like myself again. I decided to go back to work. I go back to work. Everybody's, kind of reminding me, like, where are the babies? Where are the pictures? And I didn't want to share
Mm.
my story yet. So I was like, oh, I'll send you one later. I was lying. And I didn't feel
Yeah.
right doing it. I didn't feel right. I didn't feel
Mm,
right.
mm, mm,
But then, like 3 months into me working again, and I was miserable like shit. I received news that I got promoted,
mhm,
and they relocated me. So from New York, they offered me a job opportunity to be. I am a sales trainer
mhm,
currently, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna send you to Miami to train new hires X, Y, and Z." And I was like, "Okay,
mhm,
this is
mhm.
great." And let me tell you something. I knew that my relationship was over because I signed the papers and decided on my salary and all that shit without even consulting with my boyfriend at the time.
Okay, okay.
That's how you know that your relationship is over. I'm making this
Yeah, you
type of
made the
decision
decision
without
without
you.
considering. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He of course he was highly upset.
Mhm.
But it was something that I felt like I had to do alone.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was time for us to go our separate ways.
Mm, mm, mm,
And I
mm.
went to Miami. I stayed there for about a year working. And at first, it was really, I believe that trip changed me completely because I was avoiding what just happened. And then in Miami, I had no choice but to face it because I was by myself.
Mm, 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 mm. That's deep. That's deep.
I had no choice to face it.
Mhm,
I was crying
mhm.
miserably, like I never cried before, each and every day, every night. But then I will go to work and I'm bubbly and I'm fine. And as soon as I got home, I was miserable. And I didn't know where this was coming from. And then I was like, okay, I never really healed. I never really gone through this
The
because
grief of it. Yeah.
I always had so many people around me that
Mhm,
didn't allow me
mhm,
to be like that.
mhm, mhm. But you know what?
It
It
was
was good because even though everyone was very supportive of your process and you had gone to therapy to deal with your grief, even if it was just a little bit and not wholly at the time, because let's face it, at the end of the day, it's something that you will never quite get over, but you will learn to live with. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. When you were this is what I wanted to ask you. When you were in Miami, because you said that you felt like you got to a point where you felt like you were running from the last part or some parts of your grief that you hadn't dealt with yet.
yeah.
And you said that you left New York without your long-term partner and you guys broke up. Do you feel like, and I'm not saying it like the twins' death was to push you in any direction, but do you feel like because of their death, it got you out of a relationship that was toxic or just wasn't good for you? And it pushed you a little bit into nudging you into leaving a relationship wasn't really that great for you in the first place.
I feel like you know me because that's exactly what happened. I
Okay.
knew that I knew our relationship wasn't the right relationship. We loved each other very, very much, but just because we loved each other doesn't mean we needed to be together. And I realized that he wasn't the partner for me,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and I felt that this what just transpired. We were there for each other because he also experienced a loss, so I was very aware of that.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
we comforted each other, but I just knew that I needed to separate myself from actually everyone, even my family. And this fell on my lap, and I was like, I cannot say no to this opportunity. I need to go.
Mm-hmm.
I took it as a rebirth. Like, I'm gonna go over there, become the woman that I'm supposed to be. I'm gonna be in a new city, new state, be away almost 2,000 miles away from my family and friends, and I'm just gonna have to fence for myself. And I just turned 30 years old. I
Wow.
actually celebrated my birthday at the hotel lobby when I first arrived,
Mm-hmm,
and I
mm-hmm.
turned 30, and it was like, wow, I'm in a new state. I'm by myself. I just got this new promotion with my career. Shit was popping for me. I was like, you should
Right.
be happy.
Yeah.
You should be
Yeah.
happy. And I took it as that. I was just like, I'm gonna learn. And when I was in Miami, I was so sad during the night that I also put myself in therapy over there because I was like, okay, I gotta go back to therapy. I gotta talk to somebody about this. I met someone else that was my everything at the time. I thought I was generally in love, and we were together, and he didn't know how to handle my nighttime sad Nelly. He knew how to
Okay.
handle the daytime one that was
Mm-hmm.
at work, was busy. He didn't know how to handle that. So it was very difficult in the new relationship because
Mm-hmm.
he didn't have no idea what I just experienced. Especially me coming from New York. He lived in Miami. It was like two different worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
And then boom, another opportunity landed again, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna promote you again," because I was doing phenomenal, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "We're gonna promote you again," and they sent me to Virginia, and
Gotcha.
they're like, "Oh, we want you to take care of the Virginia, D.C., and Maryland market,
Mm.
and are you available?" I kept saying no. No, 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 no. I was like, what the hell am I gonna do in Virginia? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, no shade to Virginia, but I just picture in my head country and like
Yeah, you didn't
I don't
know
know.
if you were going to be close to DC or not. Yeah, yeah.
I had no idea because I never been out here like that ever. And then I was just like, okay. And then was in a relationship, but I was like, damn, I'm gonna leave this guy again. Like, what's wrong with me? What am I running away from? And he decided to come with me, and then he changed his mind.
Mm.
And I was devastated because I thought I was gonna be with someone. I already had our perfect apartment that we both kind of picture in our heads, and I made it into a reality. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, this is everything I wanted. And boom, he leaves me by myself in Virginia. And I just like I felt the abandonment and all those feelings came back again. And I was like, if I had my daughters, this would have never happened. I started thinking
Oh,
like that.
goodness.
I
Yeah,
started thinking
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And all that therapy money went down the went down the drain again.
But
I was
not
like, oh
necessarily,
man,
Nelly, because you were still highly functioning, in other parts of your
yeah,
life. It was just that it takes so much time. Like losing a baby, oh, it just takes so much time. It's something that I have never experienced, but I can only imagine in watching other people who have, very few people that I know have lost infants like that. But it takes such a long time, and death in itself is just hard. You know what I mean? So you were high functioning. You were high functioning depressed type personality type.
yeah. And I didn't know exactly what that was
Mm-hmm.
until like until I actually started like doing a little bit more research because I was tired of being sad all the time and being anxious and having these reoccurring dreams of the whole thing going down all over again. It just kept replaying for me. And I was just like, yo, like what am I gonna do? Like how am I gonna function? And I was just like, listen, you're by yourself. You just gotta get over it. You gotta figure something out. And I stopped feeling sorry for myself. That's really what it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
stopped feeling sorry for myself. I was like, let's think about the good things. You got promoted twice. You don't have the education because I can't tell you I went to college. I didn't.
And
But
that's
yet
okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm over here at the table with directors and vice presidents and shit like that. And I'm like, look at this. Look what you have done. Look what you accomplished. And
Right. Exactly.
your daughters will be so proud.
Yep. And then you know what? I'm finding with the podcast and a lot of the people that are connecting with me and that I'm connecting with, like how we connected on Instagram, the stories that the fertility, infertility, infant loss, and miscarriages and stillbirths that they've experienced. I'm finding that a lot of people are finding purpose and passion after
Yeah,
the loss. And I think that's
yeah,
so powerful because a lot of people go through life with loss and tragedies and they become stuck. They just continue to do what they've always done and not step out into something greater and allow their pain to push them into purpose, because it's one thing to deal with your pain and to grieve and continue on with life, but then there's a whole other level where you can allow it to push you into purpose to help others and serve others in a way that you wish that somebody had been able to do it for you. So I think that's really powerful. And for you to climb the ladder like that, at your the company that you work for. It's awesome. And your girls are shining down with you, and I think that they're propelling you, and they helping you to get through it, because at the end of the day, you're still a mom. It's just that your babies are no
Yeah.
longer here. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's
And
powerful.
I'm glad you said that, because not a lot of people identify that. I during that I also joined like support groups, and I'm gonna be honest with you, and no shade to everybody that joins support groups. For some people it works very well. For me it didn't. I actually became even more sad in support groups because people's stories were way worse than mine, and I was like, oh shit, like I gotta get out of here, like I'm so sorry you experienced that. I just wanted to hug everybody, and I just thought that my
Right.
experience
Hmm.
was so little and so small compared to what other people were experiencing, that it made me super fucking sad. I was like, and I felt guilty for being so sad when these women have experienced multiple losses,
Mm.
multiple near death experiences,
Mm, mm, mm,
and it, like I was just like, oh my god. But when I started praying more, started
yeah.
going to therapy, started stop feeling sorry for myself, and I said, okay, who are you? Like, now this experience happened to you. You're a mom, and the only person that was wishing me happy Mother's Day was the father of my daughters. Every year he
Hmm.
hits me up and tells me, happy Mother's Day, and that's it. We
That's
don't have a
wonderful.
relationship
Yeah.
anymore. We don't have that. He has his relationship. I'm currently in a relationship myself,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's all. Every year he tells me Happy Mother's Day, and I
That's
said thank you. I appreciate
amazing.
that.
Oh my gosh. Girl, your whole episode is like giving me all these chills down my freaking spine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing, because so many people break up, because like your situation, they were in a bad place or were, on the road to separating before the tragedy. But a lot of people don't continue to have positive rapport afterwards. They go on and they don't ever see or speak to each other again, or they run
Yeah.
into each other and stuff. So that is amazing, amazing. And that says a lot about him and probably his growth too as a man, and where he is in his life, because he can do that, and he can do that without, you know, um, without there being any negativity. That's amazing that you guys can do that and connect, because y'all still share daughters at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is
I'm glad.
truly
I'm
amazing.
glad that you see it that way, because other people will probably be like, that didn't happen. You guys broke up. That's it. Forget about it. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not about that, because it's not about us anymore. It's about that we had two daughters, and
Yeah.
it's something that nobody can take away from it. That's
Mm-mm.
our connection.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Because either way, if your twins had survived, you guys would still have to co-parent. So
Yeah. Of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
And
amazing.
I didn't doubt that he was going to be a phenomenal father. That's one thing that could ever take away from him, because he's a great person. It's just that he wasn't the person for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
That's
I
yeah.
I I hope that my story really resonates with some people out there that have experienced stillbirth. It's a horrible thing, and I know that. I wish I can tell everybody here that's listening that, hey, this is something that you're going to get over. It's not something you get over. It just becomes easier for you to
Mm-hmm.
cope as the time goes by, as much as that you invest in yourself, and realize that, listen, this is something that happened to you, but it's not you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fantastic point couple of points that you made, and I was getting ready to ask you, you know, some advice for other people coping. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. If there's anything else you want to say to help somebody else, you can go ahead and give it to them. And I think that because you went to that group for parents of tragic losses, I think that was your grandmother. I think that was your girls, and I think that was the creator just in the universe just showing you that, look, you suffered a tragic loss, but what will you do in their legacy? You know what I mean? What will you do to turn that negative situation into positivity? And yeah, that's powerful.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't know if this experience changed my whole idea of becoming a mom again,
Mm-hmm.
but it scared the shit out of me. So I'm just like, I don't know if I want to be a mom again. I don't know if I want to go through that again, because it's just that little percentage that it can happen again scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It scares me, But at the same time, I have my days. Like some days I'm like, I want to be a mom again. I want to experience this. I
Yep.
want to have someone that looks like me and calls me mommy. I would love that. But then some other days it's like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I don't even want to go there.
Yeah.
And
I deal
I'm
with the
still
same
struggling
thing.
with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard. I didn't suffer any losses like you did, but going through infertility again and then having my son prematurely at 24 weeks, I get it. I get it.
Wow.
I definitely, yeah, it's a lot. And there's a lot of women that feel that way that I've spoken to on Instagram about going through infertility again if they had one successful pregnancy through IVF or anything. And they say that all the time, like, I don't know if I want to do this again, like emotionally, physically, spiritually, like, can I do this again? And the fear sets in. But I think that we have to move from fear and find, if it could be, at the end of the day, I can tell that it's your desire to have children. So we have to find a way to get past fear, whether it's just jumping out there when you're ready to start a family, or whether it's going back to therapy and seeing if they have any tips for coping with the fear that you have.
Yeah, I think so. And then for me, it's like, I also have so many things that I want to accomplish before that because
Yeah.
I also want to be prepared. And I know that you can't prepare for parenthood or anything like that. It's something that just comes, but I want to be able to be prepared enough to be like, okay, now this is my new experience. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, I got my job situation. My money's right. Everything's great. Okay, this is the time. But at the same time, I'm just getting older, so it's like, oh, do I do it now? Do I do it later? And that's what I'm going through
Mhm.
now. I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure out if I really do genuinely want to be a parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? You'll know when you're at peace with whatever happens next in that area of your life as far as parenthood. And maybe now is not the time. You still got a little bit of living to do, maybe some things at work that you'd like to accomplish, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay
The, po-
because,
the podcast is coming out.
yeah, Nelly's podcast, yes, you guys don't forget about it. How do I explain this shit to my mom? I know it's going to be hilarious.
um,
Nelly was on her best behavior today. Trust me, guys, because she is she is hilarious. I'm telling you. So you guys got to check her out on Instagram. I'm gonna leave her handles in the show notes so that you guys can connect with her and follow her podcast when the time comes that she releases the the launch of it and everything. But Nelly, I appreciate you so much coming on today and giving hope and giving voice to your pain in hopes that it will touch and help heal with somebody else and resonate with them. I just think it's amazing how we can all connect on social media now from different walks of life.
Isn't it awesome? It's
Like,
awesome. I'm so glad I was able to meet you and talk to you.
yes, oh
Um,
my gosh.
for everybody that's listening, just keep in mind that How Do I Explain This Shit to My Mom is a platform, is a safe platform for people to be able to share a lot of whatever they don't feel comfortable talking to their mother about, or their parent, or their dad, or their grandpa. I wanted to create that platform even for myself because now, after a woman, now that I feel like I'm a woman now, my mom and I, we have a great relationship, and she's. You think I'm funny? You haven't met my mother yet. She's hilarious, and I wanted to do like a twist because I wanted to create different topics that most parents or family members are are ignorant about. And I
Hmm.
want to be able to have it on the podcast, have people that are experiencing or going through this and educate these type of parents or family or even ourselves because we be ignorant. So we want to make sure that I want to educate people, so I want to do it with a funny twist. I want to do it with my personality. I want to be
Exactly.
able to have. We're gonna have so many great people on the podcast. I already have lined up,
Hmm.
and I can't wait for you guys to listen. How do I explain this shit to my mom? It's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, and even on Twitter.
Yes, I cannot wait to listen. I know it's going to be funny. I know it's going to be funny. We could all use a little bit more of laughter, especially when we go through tragedies like this. And it's amazing. I just think it's amazing. And you're such a strong woman to be able to stay true to who you are and helping and being in service and giving a platform and a voice to other people and being an advocate for mental health, Nelly. I appreciate you so
Thank you
much,
so much.
dear. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.